Inter Milan 0, Liverpool 1. Liverpool get back to winning ways in the Champions League. What exactly was I worried about? What was I worried about? What were we worried about, guys? It was quite comfortable in the end, wasn't it? Obviously, a little bit of a joke there, but we won, and that's the main thing. We got a little lucky. I think we got a little lucky. We'll dive into that a little bit later, the penalty and all of that stuff. I think we also got a little bit unlucky to a degree. But no. Liverpool get back to winning ways. A massive win in the Champions League over Inter Milan. And I'm happy. I'm happy about that. Very, very happy indeed. Big up to everybody that's here on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules, your busy days to obviously hear the ramblings of a madman. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you to everybody that is. Do me a massive favor, smash that like button and subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. If you are on the road to 1K to round off 2025, if we can hit it by then, that'd be amazing. If not, it is what it is. But big up to everybody that's here. Like always, get involved in the chat, talk some football with me, people. But also, if you want to talk about like anything else, just get involved. Really, let me know what you're up to today. Let me know where you're watching from this morning. All of that good stuff. But obviously, we are mainly here to be talking about football. But I hope we're all doing well. I hope you're doing well. I know I'm feeling a little better this morning than what I was. I know that obviously last night I was dreading this game. And yet we came out of it with not just a clean sheet, but a win as well. And a much important win considering where we are in the Champions League table, what obviously transpired in our last Champions League match day, but also because of what has been an absolutely chaotic week. It was a much needed win for Liverpool FC last night. And we have Dominic Szoboszlai from the penalty spot with absolute nerves of steel to thank for that 1-0 win. We're going to be diving into it a little bit more. But first and foremost, big up to Lee, who's in the chat very nice and early this morning. Big up to you, bro. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling much better after, of course, that win last night. Obviously, like I say, much needed win, much desired, much wanted win. And we managed to take it from Inter. One of us didn't see the game, but how did we play? Well, to be honest with you, I think we probably just about shaded it. It wasn't the most vintage Liverpool performance you'd have ever seen. But I felt that defensively, we were actually pretty solid last night. Defensively, we were very solid. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting Inter Milan to carve us apart at will. I think Inter will look back and think it was a missed opportunity. I think they will not be happy at all with the way that they played and the way that they performed. I think they, to an extent, bottled it against Liverpool somewhat. And I'm not trying to just be overly critical. It was obviously the kind of overall consensus that most of us, including myself and yourself, bro, were feeling heading into the game. You even said yourself it was going to be a bloodbath. But Inter didn't kind of play with the level of intensity that I was expecting. They had no pace, no power. They only had 1 or 2 efforts on goal, which I think is a testament to how good we were defensively. I'm still not overall happy with the full performance. There were a couple of individuals that I thought were really, really good on the night. But overall, like I say, it wasn't the most vintage of Liverpool performances. It wasn't the greatest of Liverpool performances. But we got the job done. We got the job done. And on match day 6, where the points are running out, we needed that win. We absolutely 100% needed that win. And although we got a little bit lucky, on a certain level, I'm taking it. The win takes us up to 8th in the table, which would be an automatic qualification spot if things were to end right now. The unfortunate thing is obviously Dortmund play tonight. They could overtake us. Man City take on that massive challenge in Real Madrid, and likewise for Real Madrid, of course. So if Man City win, they go ahead of us as well. Newcastle are also in the mix as well if they win tonight, so they could overtake us, I believe. So we're not out of the woods yet, but we are now in a cluster of teams that are on 12 points. From 4th place PSG right the way down to us in 8th, we are all on 12 points. Now, of course, it's a little bit misguided because both Real Madrid, who are in 6th, and PSG, who are in 4th, are both on 12 points, and they play tonight because they've only played 5 games. So by the end of tonight, those two teams especially could be even higher in the table, could be on even more points. But we are on a bit of a cluster of teams that are jostling for position as we head into obviously match day 7 and match day 8 coming up over the course of the next month or so. So it's going to be massive for us, and it's a massive 3 points in the sense that we don't want to be in that playoff spot. If we're in that playoff spot, it's not the end of the world, of course, but it just means that we're playing 2 extra games that we really don't want to be playing. We don't want to make it any harder for ourselves. We don't want to make it any more difficult than what it needs to be. We just need to get the job done in our last 2 games. And then, of course, if we do that, we're nice and dry, safe and sound through to the next round of the competition. We have Marseille away from home on the 21st of January, which is going to be no easy task whatsoever. Away from home is going to be tough. The Marseille Ultras are going to be out in full voice and with their heart on their sleeve. So, and we all know, obviously, reluctant gamer will tell you about their time against Newcastle very recently. So Marseille will be no easy task for us, especially with the way that we're playing. But we have over a month to obviously prepare for that game. And then, of course, a week after, we round off our Champions League campaign or league phase campaign with a home tie with Karabag. So Karabag should obviously be a win, but there is obviously no guarantee, especially with Liverpool Football Club this season. But it should be a favourable game. It should be a favourable game no matter what, but you never, ever know with this Liverpool team. Let's just put it that way. But we've got to obviously be looking at making it at the first time of asking. We can't fall back on the safety net of a playoff. We don't want the extra couple of games. So we've really got to kick on from this point and win our next 2 games. Leo says that they played like they hadn't seen us recently, played our reputation, not the form. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair assessment. Like I say, it wasn't the most vintage of Liverpool performances either, but I thought we were very, very good defensively. Didn't create a whole lot going forward. There was only the chance with Curtis Jones in the first half that I thought he did really well. We obviously had a disallowed goal, which I thought was slightly harsh to disallow, but I can somewhat understand why they did. And then, of course, in the second half, I only remember really Connor Bradley having the clearest opportunity on goal. As far as what Inter are concerned, there was Lisandro Martinez, not Lisandro, Latoro. Why did I say Lisandro? Latoro Martinez. He forced a really good save from Alisson Becker. Barella, I believe, I think it was Barella, had the free kick, which just went wide of the post. But other than that, there wasn't really anything from Inter to really trouble and challenge us. I think for the most part, our defence had a pretty easy night, which I think we can thank Inter for. Really, like they didn't trouble us more, I guess you would say. Big up, my friend. Happy for you to be here. Big up to you. Glad. I hope you're doing well on this Wednesday morning. Big up Marco as well, who's in the building. Lovely to have you here as well, my bro. Big up to you on this Wednesday morning as well. Beating Inter away is massively impressive. Yeah, I mean, considering how they've been this season in terms of their overall goal scoring, they've been really solid defensively themselves these past several weeks as well. It's a big win. It's a big win. It's a fortunate win a little bit, as we'll get into with the whole VAR penalty stuff. But yeah, it's a big win nonetheless. Slot surprised me last night playing Isak and Ekitike, but I heard Isak wasn't great. He didn't have the best of games, but I feel like it's simply for the reason that we don't really give him much to feed on. We don't really do much for him. There's a lack of creativity from us that I see a lot of, and it makes it look like Isak's poor, but we don't really give him much. The only time I remember him having a chance yesterday was when he pressed the Inter goalkeeper, Jan Sommer, and managed to win the ball just on the edge of their own penalty area. And maybe he should have done better with either the overall shot that he had, or maybe he could have found a teammate, but he decided to have a go on goal. Didn't quite catch it as best as he would have liked, and he put it wide of the post. But it was a decent attempt that he made for himself, Isak. But we didn't really give him much to feed off other than scraps. So whilst I am a little bit surprised that Isak and Ekitike played in the same game, I feel like Slot's hand was forced a little bit, considering that obviously Salah was out for reasons. Cody Gakpo was injured. Chiesa was ill. So our only winger was really Rio Ngamoa. And whilst I'm disappointed we didn't see any of Rio Ngamoa last night, I can somewhat understand why he went for the team that he did to a certain degree. I still think we probably should have done a bit more with Rio, but there you go. Blah, 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 blah. I was going to say. Big up Stacey is in the building. Lovely to have you here. A bunch of emojis in the chat, which is cool to see. Big up to you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're all good on this Wednesday morning. But yeah, last night, like I say, I will take the win. I'm very much happy for the win. I'm not agenda driven. I'm obviously still on the side of Slot out. I don't flip-flop in any way, shape or form. But at least we showed something last night in terms of defensive resilience. And that's something that I'm happy with. The win is something that I'm also very much happy with, of course. But we need more, of course. We obviously need to see this more. We need more consistency on this front. And we obviously need to find a way to stop the rot and to try and get back to winning ways. It's, again, another example of Slot not choosing to play his style of play, not choosing to play his way, and coming out smelling of roses, essentially, winning the game. That was not Slotwall that we saw last night for the most part. You know, obviously he had to adapt with all the injuries that we're obviously going with and the lack of players that we had going into last night's game. But at the same time, in saying that, at least we were, like I say, we were more defensively minded. We were solid in that department, and we reduced Inter to very, very little, which I was very happy about. I was happy about that we could actually show a bit of defensive mettle. But I would say we have to go forward and do this more. We have to go to Brighton at the weekend, and we have to obviously do the business there. We have to go and face Tottenham the week after and do the business there. Then we obviously have Wolves after Christmas. We've got to do this on a more regular basis. We can't just be picking and choosing when we decide to turn up, whether it be in attacking sense or defensive sense, or even in the odd case, both. But this was a very, very good way to start. And like I say, I'm all open to the idea that Slot turns this around and ends up, finding a winning formula. I'm Slot out to the point where if he turns around and starts winning games and we start playing some really good football, then fine, fair enough. I'll change my mind based on the evidence that's presented in front of me. That's not flip-flopping. That's just seeing the evidence that's in front of me and going, you know what? He's changed. But we've been here before. That's why I'm concerned, because we've been here before. Aston Villa, Real Madrid, we've been here before on this trail. So I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. I'm not going to start saying Liverpool are back. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying it was an excellent result. It was a mediocre performance. Let's see where we kick on from here. Let's see where we go from this point forward. Marcus says, away end chanting Slot's name during the game, also before the goal. I mean, I heard James Pearce say that online. But the replies underneath, I don't know whether they're just trolling or not, but there was a few replies underneath from supposed fans who went to the game, and they say that they couldn't really hear it, or there wasn't that much chanting for Slot or anything like that. I don't know. I didn't have the game with sound on. I don't really have the game with sound on much these days. Every so often, maybe, but I don't really have this. I don't really watch football with the sound on these days because I can't stand commentators. And there was I watched the Arsenal game at the weekend, and Martin Keown. Oh my God, the biasness for Martin Keown for Arsenal on that day was unbelievable. But yeah, I don't really have the sound on much for certain games, and last night was one of them. So I don't. I don't know. I can't really say whether it came across on TV or not. The only thing I have to go on is James Pearce saying that they were doing that, and certain fans underneath claiming that there may have been a little bit of chanting, but not a lot, or not as much, or not from the majority of fans that were in attendance that night. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as I'm not 100% sure or convinced. I came across a Liverpool fan commenting, I hear they need a tour guide at the pyramids directed at Salah, which is harsh, but made me chuckle. One thing I will say is that this was a much-needed win in terms of both the Champions League campaign that we find ourselves in right now, and, of course, from the insane week that we've had. I don't want anybody claiming that, because Salah wasn't there last night, Liverpool won. Don't want anybody claiming that Salah's the reason why... Salah's absence is the reason why Liverpool won. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to hear anything like that. I don't think it has much of a difference, because if we went and lost to Brighton, then what are people saying? Because if Salah's not going to be there, then what are people saying about that? So don't dig yourselves in a hole that could come back to obviously bite you eventually. I'm sure the Liverpool journalists will probably say something like that today. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because they've seemingly turned on Salah since he spoke to Norwegian media rather than probably them over the course of the weekend. So I just don't want to hear anything about the Salah conversation in regards to this game, to be honest. Liverpool, the squad rallied. The squad were resilient. They carried out what was being told of them. They got the win. And that is pretty much all that matters. That's pretty much all that matters. Big up Ballum is in the building. Happy to see you here, my bro. Always good to talk football with you, my friend. I hope you are doing well. Hi, Premier League prediction today or tomorrow? It's probably going to be tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it will definitely be Friday. But probably be tomorrow, actually. Probably will be tomorrow. But just in case it's not, it probably will be Friday. Good morning and no nursery rhymes, please. Hey. We do what we want on this channel. We do what we want. Is police outside your house? We heard sirens. No, I just live in an area where seemingly once an hour sirens are going off outside on the main road. So not for me, bruv. Not yet, anyway. They'll never take me alive. I think it was a pen, soft one, but if he was directed towards goal, it would have been a pen. Now he was with his back towards goal. Still a short pull and soft, but Liverpool will take it. Yeah, so nice kind of segue into what we were going to talk about in terms of the penalty and VAR decision. That penalty for me, it's not a penalty. But in the Champions League, I feel like it is. I feel like you wouldn't get away with that in the Premier League. But I feel like in the Champions League, you would. And the reason why I say that, does everybody remember when Szoboszlai gave away the penalty in the Galatasaray game? It was, again, another soft foul that, well, it wasn't really a foul, but at the same time, basically, for those who don't remember, he catches the Galatasaray player in the face with a trailing arm, and the referee awards the penalty. It wasn't, in my opinion, a great look for the Champions League in terms of giving that penalty. It was a very, very soft penalty to give away, but it happened, right? Very soft. Very, very soft. This was, again, another one where it's extremely soft. Szoboszlai's one also happened in the Premier League, I believe, that very weekend. I believe it was the Liverpool game again. I believe that... Who did we play that game? It must have been Chelsea. I want to say it's Chelsea. In the Chelsea-Liverpool game, a Chelsea player did the exact same thing to, I believe, Alexander Isak in the game. I could be wrong again. I want to say it was Isak, though. Just a trailing arm, just catches him in the face. Player goes down, no penalty given. So it's given in the Champions League. It's not given in the Premier League. The foul on Wirtz last night, that's given in the Champions League, in my opinion. But if that was to happen this week in the Premier League, that's not given. And it's especially not given because the referee didn't give it in real time. The referee played on. VAR was the one who gave it. VAR was the one who told the referee to go to the monitor to check it. That would not be given as clear and obvious in the Premier League. So I guess in the Champions League, it is a pull. Wirtz goes down very theatrically, very, very theatrically, which I thought was probably going to make the decision easier for the ref to not give it, in all honesty, and for the VAR to not give it. But no, it eventually was given. Soboslai, like I say, ice running through his veins, steps up, converts the penalty. That is my future captain right there. Soboslai was great on the day, yet again. This guy deserves immense amounts of praise. Soboslai was again very good on the night. Soboslai was again brilliant. Soboslai's been our best player of the season. He deserves so many plaudits for how he has really, really come of age this season, how he's really grown this season. I really cannot wax lyrical enough about Dominic Soboslai. He is absolutely brilliant. And last night, a very good penalty. And fair play to him. I'm really sorry, I don't want to butcher your names. I really don't want to butcher your names. So I'll just say big up to you, my friend. Lovely to have you here with us. Guys, if obviously you're watching and you have a specified name you want to go by, just throw it in the chat and I will try my best to remember it. I'm not very good with reading names off the screen, but I will try my best if you have obviously a preferred name or anything like that. But big up to you, my bro. I'm good. I'm feeling even better now. Liverpool have won. I hope you're doing well too on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Stacey asked, do you like snow? Yes and no. I like it when it's kind of on the ground, you're walking through it. Not so much in the aftermath, especially if it like turns to like rainy and that slippery, icy stuff. Not very good. But for when it is like when it's first fallen, there's nothing like it. Snow is awesome. Good night. Thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate you joining us for the amount of time that you did. Really do appreciate that, my friend, and I hope to see you back very, very soon. Would Konate's goal have stood in the Premier League after Ekitike handball? That was the other one that obviously came about last night. There was two very lengthy VAR decisions. That they took their time over, which was obviously this handball and the penalty decision. They really did take their time on both. Again, I feel like the handball rule is so stupid that no one really knows. No one really knows what the handball law is. No one really knows. I do feel like it's become so what's the word, controversial, maybe. It's become so awkward, and it's been made awkward because different referees implement it seemingly differently, that no one really knows what a handball is anymore. And even then, last night, I know they watched it from about 60 different angles. They watched it about 50 different speeds, and it still took them about 8 minutes. It was almost like it was 8 minutes, wasn't it, to arrive at a decision on whether or not Ekitike handballed it or not. And for me personally, I think it's a little harsh because it's not like it's intentional handball. It just flicks off the head of Van Dijk, I believe, and then onto Ekitike's arm, which is directed goalwards for Konate to pounce, basically, to poach. For me, I can understand why it's handball. Because without it, it doesn't quite go into the path of Konate. However, unless it went directly into the back of the net, I also can understand why the goal should have stood. Because it didn't go directly into the net. Yeah, it did help its way onto Konate. But it wasn't like it was intentional. It wasn't like Ekitike was trying to gain an unfair advantage by doing it. I feel like in the Prem, it's 50-50. Champions... And this is the thing as well. the handball rule in the Champions League is so flimsy in comparison to the foul on Wirtz. The handball law is so flimsily used in the Champions League. Like, it's so easy to handball in the Champions League. The amount of times that we've seen a handball be given in the penalty area, a penalty be given for handball. And it's like, you're looking at it and you're like, well, he's touched it with his hand, but it's not like it's in an unnatural position or anything like that. It's quite, in a natural position for the position of the player and everything like that. And it's like, it just seems like, for whatever reason, it's so flimsily used in the Champions League. It's just thrown out there as soon as it hits your hand, it's pretty much handball kind of thing. So I guess, again, in the Champions League, that's given. And in the Premier League, I guess it depends on what referee you get, because we all know that Premier League referees are inconsistent as the next. So, yeah, I don't know. Big up Alpha's here. Big up to you, my friend. Lovely to have you here with us. Hope you're doing well. He says that is Salah going to cry again now Liverpool have won a game without him. Again, bro, I don't want to do this kind of this Salah analysis on a game that Salah wasn't even involved in. But again, I will tell you that if we were to go and lose to Brighton on Saturday, is it Saturday? I want to say it's Saturday. Saturday. If we were to go and lose to Brighton on Saturday and Salah's not in the team, and Salah's not in the team, then what are we going to say? Ultimately, if there is a miracle turnaround and Salah actually does play on Saturday and we win, what are we going to say then? I'm just throwing that out there. Alf. Because, again, the Salah analysis has nothing to do with last night. He wasn't there. Great. We've won games when he's not been there. We've also lost games when he's not been there. Again, this scapegoating, this wanting to kind of, I don't know, maybe rage bait a little bit. I don't know. It don't quite wash. But big up for you for being here, and thank you for the chat. Obviously, I know a lot of rival fans are going to be asking those kinds of questions and talking about that kind of stuff. So I get it. I get where you're coming from. But at the same time, like I say, I'm not all for that kind of analysis in this moment, because it just doesn't. It just doesn't wash with me. Because if you would mock him for that, if we were to go and lose to Brighton and he's not in the team, then what are people saying? And like I say, I know for a fact that journalists who turned on him over the weekend are probably writing their little pieces now. Like, Liverpool were great last night and Salah wasn't there. Is that a coincidence? Fact is, we weren't amazing. We weren't, outstanding. We were just okay. Listen, the best performances of the night went to Dominic Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones was absolutely amazing last night. Curtis Jones was probably the best player on the pitch. He was absolutely amazing last night. Curtis Jones deserves his flowers for that performance. He really, really does. Really, really good performance from Curtis Jones last night. Let's say, I don't think anybody was particularly bad yesterday. Robertson may have been a little bit underwhelming, along with McAllister, maybe. Isak, we didn't really play him to his strengths. We didn't really give him much to feed off. But other than those 2 or 3 players, no one was really, terrible yesterday. But the ones that were head and shoulders above the rest were Szoboszlai and Jones. They were absolutely immense on the night. And fair play to them. But, again, the overall performance wasn't amazing by Liverpool, and partly I think it's down to the lack of width. whilst we were defensively solid and we packed out the midfield and we were very narrow and we managed to stop Inter from creating too many chances, I just feel like we lacked width when going forward. And that was probably down to not obviously having a more natural winger on the pitch, which is why, again, I go to Rio Ngamoa. Rio Ngamoa was our only natural and only recognised winger on the squad yesterday, and he doesn't use him. I would like to have seen a bit of more of Rio Ngamoa last night, especially being a more natural winger, because our only outlet was basically Joe Gomez on the right-hand side, who was a little bit isolated for the most part. We just lacked width. We just lacked. We just lacked. And I thought it was weird as well that Gomez actually did start over Connor Bradley. I thought that was really, really weird, you know, and especially because we're going to have to play Gomez. We're going to have to play Gomez on Saturday because Connor Bradley's suspended. So I was a little surprised that we actually did start Gomez. That we actually started Gomez over Bradley because we were going to have to play Connor Bradley. We're going to have to play Joe Gomez on Sunday. Either that, or he's going to move again one of Szoboszlai or Jones to right back again, and then he's learned absolutely nothing. But yeah, we've got no Connor Bradley for Saturday, and yet he only brought Connor Bradley on as a substitute. It was very, very strange. I thought he would have started Bradley and probably thrown Gomez on to maybe get some minutes to kind of keep the legs ticking over into the weekend. But yeah, I don't really get that decision, especially when Slot says himself that Gomez is a bit of a bit fragile right now because of obviously all of his injuries. But we shall see how that goes. We shall see how that plays out. When you're away, you need a little bit of luck. I know we are probably a bit lucky, but this can hopefully kickstart our season. We can only go forward from here. I hope you're right. I know I've been very vocal on being slot out and stuff like that, but overall, I obviously want what's best for Liverpool Football Club. I've never wanted us to lose a game to get a manager sacked, even in the years under Brendan Rodgers towards the end and Rafa Benitez towards the end, and the least said about the Roy Hodgson era, the better. But I've never, ever wanted us to lose a game just to get a manager sacked. So my hope is that Arne Slot does turn it around. My hope is that Arne Slot does manage to change things. Do I think he will? Not necessarily. We have been down this road before, as I mentioned before. We've obviously beaten the likes of Aston Villa and Real Madrid. We look good in doing that. And we thought, maybe we are slowly turning a corner. And then we went right back to type in the next game against Manchester City. And then since then, we've been god-awful again ever since. So look, I too hope that we can get better. I too hope that we improve from this point. But he's got a lot of convincing to do between now and then for me to start believing that we've turned a corner, we're improving, we're getting better. But it's a solid start. Defensively, at least, it's a solid start. And hopefully, as time advances, maybe we will get better in our attacking play. But we shall see. Because, like I say, there's still certain things that need to be addressed. There's still certain things that need to be addressed in terms of our cohesion going forward. But it's a solid start nonetheless. It's a solid start. Liverpool literally could lose to anyone in the Premier League. Even the bottom teams love to play them. And then Liverpool bounce back by beating another European giant. Makes the Prem look good, honestly. The Premier League's just different. The Premier League is just... Because if you look around at certain leagues, they for the most part, their teams play a similar style to each other. Spain, it's all about tiki-taka. In Italy, it's more of a defensive sort of approach based off of their heritage and stuff. You might get the odd team here and there that obviously are different. They mix it up a little bit. But for the most part, there are core principles in that league. In England, we don't really have core principles. We have a lot of teams that play a lot of different styles. Like, you'll get Pep Guardiola's style, for example, but then on the flip side of that, you'll get a Sean Dyche style, for example. Somewhere in the middle, you'll get someone like, I don't know, like an Areola or Glasner, and along that kind of spectrum, you'll get like David Moyes at one end, and you'll get Arne Slot at the other, and Mikel Arteta is just in between, like Slot and Arteta and Pep and whatever. So you'll get various points along that spectrum of different teams playing different styles. In other leagues, I don't think you get that to a greater extent. Like I say, you get the occasional teams that do that, but for the most part, those teams have got core principles. Those teams have got things that they are brought up with. Spain's tiki-taka, for example, being something that Spanish kids are taught to play at a young age, that kind of thing. So I feel like it's just different. Like, if Inter had the kind of tenacity and physical presence that, say, Brentford had or Forest had, they might have got a bit more joy last night. They might have got a bit more joy, but I don't remember now who said it. As Lee said earlier, Inter seemingly played us off of reputation rather than our current form, our current weaknesses, and they didn't really exploit that to the greatest extent. But it is what it is. Old players like Salah, Van Dijk, Konate, and Alisson stopped rebuilding. We had KDB, Gundogan, Akanji, Walker, Ederson. Getting rid of them is what allowed us to start improving. But you need some of the older heads, though. Like, you need some of the older heads in the squad still. You need to phase them out gradually. I agree with you. But you can't just basically get rid of all the experienced heads just because they're over 30 and, you know, potentially getting past it. I mean, Konate is 26. I want to say he's 26. I want to say Konate is 26. So he's not exactly old. Alisson's a goalkeeper, so he could play until he's probably about 40. The only two there that are obviously older than what a lot of people would like in their squad is obviously Salah and Van Dijk, who are entering into their mid-30s. Like, Konate is still 26, bro. So you still need those older, experienced figures around, but they don't stop rebuilding as long as obviously you've got a contingency plan in place for when they do eventually move on. It's not a case of they stopped the rebuild. It's not even like Man City had a case of older players that stopped them from rebuilding. It's just that you recruited badly. You had a contingency plan in place, but it wasn't like it was the best. Some of the players that you did buy were not great. Mateus Nunes, for example, or Mateo Kovacic in midfield, like they were never going to be like the KDB and Gundogan replacements that you wanted them to be. Nico Gonzalez has the potential to be the Rodri thing. He's not quite there yet, of course, but he's very, very good. But for the most part, over the past few years, the reason why City have not been as lethal as what they were in their prime Pep years is just because of poor recruitment. You can have both. You can have experienced players and young ones come through for the rebuild and for the next squad to be built from there. The Prem is good, but plenty of Euro teams have beaten Prem teams in the Champions League recently. Leverkusen beat City the other night. Atalanta beat Chelsea yesterday. Marseille beat Newcastle, a couple more. Yeah, there is still the occasion. It's not like English football is ruling the roost right now. What I will say, though, is Spanish football seems to be... Spanish football used to be like dominant in any form of European competition, but they've fallen off. And I keep getting told by people that La Liga is better than the Premier League. There are some people online who keep saying that La Liga is better than the Premier League. And maybe it's easier on the eye. Maybe La Liga is more aesthetically pleasing. But when it comes to actual output, even the Spanish teams are now faltering in Europe, especially when it comes to the English teams. Like Liverpool beat Real Madrid. Barcelona lost to Chelsea. I just don't get it. It's just been a crazy league phase so far. It's just been a very crazy league phase so far. But I get where you're coming from. What people don't understand is that the Premier League is a cauldron where all the best go. How can Spain be a farmers' league? We buy players from La Liga because we buy the best players and managers from every other league. Yeah, I mean, it's not to disrespect other leagues. I don't really rate the whole farmers' league thing. You've still got to beat what's in front of you and all of that kind of stuff. But the way that you bring in players from those leagues, the same way that other countries are starting to do that with our players, yeah, it is what it is, man. Some of them, not all of them, going to the media and doing what Salah did is disgraceful. He should never play for Liverpool again. He's not the only. He's not the only player to have ever done that. Like, again, I'll say that I'm not a massive fan of him going to the media. Like, I don't think he should have done that. I get that. But at the same time, what he basically said, with the exception of a couple of things like I deserve my place in the team, based on my form, based on my history with the club, based on my reputation, rather than have to fight for it, which is kind of how that came across. Don't know whether he intended it that way or not. But saying that, along with saying that he was the main player in the Premier League winning team last season, I don't agree with. But everything else that he basically said, he's got an element of truth to it. Does it make it right that he said it in public? No. But I'm always one of these people that, you know, if you want change, sitting and doing nothing is not obviously going to bring that change. So, I don't know, maybe he did try and talk with Arne Slot like he said, and nothing was being done about it. So, as a last resort, maybe he did just go to the media because he wanted the club to stand up and listen. So, maybe there is a bit more that went on behind the scenes that we're not fully aware of. I'm not a fan of him going in public. That I think is an opinion that is shared by a lot of Liverpool fans. We're not happy about that. But at the same time, it's not like for the majority of what he said is untrue of this season. Like I say, he was focused on the relationship that broke down between him and Slot, being kept on the bench, being made an example of, even though the rest of the team were playing poor. It's, like I say, I think there were some valid points in what he was saying. I genuinely do think there were some valid points in what he was saying. Do you think someone giving an interview like that would ever play for Man United again in the Fergie days? Truth or not, truth doesn't matter. No, of course not, because that's why he got rid of Roy Keane. He got rid of Roy Keane in that way. Even more recently, I know it's not Fergie days, but Ronaldo did the whole Piers Morgan interview. Here's the thing. I don't think it's quite as black and white as what people are trying to make it out, in the sense that he just shouldn't have done it anyway. Because a manager is no... If a player's not bigger than the club, then a manager certainly isn't bigger than the club. But a manager can still go in press conferences and he can still throw his players under the bus. And no one says anything because he's the manager. We've seen managers do that before where they've thrown their players under the bus. Jose Mourinho did it infamously. But you kind of go, oh, that's Jose. Well, how is that fair? Either way, managers do it. The only ones that don't do it are the club, because the club don't really speak out. That's why they have the manager to sort of be the face of the representation of the club, so that they don't have to answer those kinds of difficult questions and stuff like that. The club are a faceless brand, and all Salah's done is just call them out on it. And, you know, again, you may not like it. I don't like it to a degree. But if what we're hearing is true about Salah, I think it's understandable as to why he went nuclear. Like, the club did so much to try and get him to sign a new deal just to be a cash cow, to bring in some more money for them. Because Salah seemingly wants to finish his career at Liverpool. They wanted to kind of move him on. And seemingly, they were going to do that in secret, which meant that they probably promised him promises that they were never going to keep. And Salah wasn't happy about that. And understandable as to why. So, again, may not like it. I don't personally like it. But for a club legend like that to be so completely disrespected, I can understand why Salah was feeling the way that he did. I can understand why Salah was feeling the way that he did. It's just an absolute circus. Just an absolute circus right now. Managers shouldn't throw players under the bus either. Fergie never did. Did I think it's a disgrace when managers do it? Never did. I think it's a disgrace when managers do it too. Exactly. Because, again, no manager is bigger than the club, in the same way that no player is bigger than the club. But, again, if what we're hearing is true and Salah tried to talk to Slot but was getting no answer, maybe he felt as a last resort, this is the only way that someone at the club is going to stand up and listen. And to be fair, people at the club stood up and listened. But it doesn't even sound like Slot's talked to Salah about it since. If you hear what he said in his press conferences, Slot has seemingly... The way that he's answered those questions, now maybe he's doing it intentionally to try and give an answer without giving away too much of what's going on behind the scenes. That could also be a possibility. But from the sounds of it, it sounds like Slot's not even talked to Salah about it, which I think is incredible considering that this interview happened Saturday night. So why didn't we have clear the air talks? Why didn't we have anything along those lines? It was so strange. So strange. But yeah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's so weird. That's it. I'm not happy with it going public. But at the same time, I can understand why Salah would feel frustrated. I can understand why Salah would feel the way that he has done. And I can understand why he would just feel this way of emotion. This way of emotion. Again, I don't necessarily agree with it. But there was an element of truth to it. There were elements of truth to it in terms of how the club has been run this season, in terms of how the manager has gone about certain things, in terms of how he's being made a scapegoat in Liverpool's poor season so far. Because I feel like he is being made an example of. And of course, he's the main man. He's the poster boy. He's the one on 400k a week. So when you've got players like Cody Gakpo putting stinker after stinker after stinker out there, no one's really focused on him because he's not the one on 400k a week. But Salah tries, doesn't really get far, slots making poor tactical decisions after poor tactical decision after poor tactical decision, and everyone's not looking at the reasons why. They're just going, well, Salah's goals and assists have fallen off, so it must be Salah's fault. But yet they claim it's not. They claim it's a team game. But you still gladly point the finger of blame at Salah. Okay. Whatever suits your agenda. And as I said yesterday, Jamie Carragher is a disgrace. Carragher yesterday, Salah puts out a tweet of him or a picture of him in the gym. And of course, Carragher had to reply because Carragher is a very petty man. Puts out a tweet saying, I've never wanted Liverpool to win a game more recently than tonight. After the game's over, he tweets again, get in. Carragher is a very, very petty man. A very petty man. Like, I feel like it was a bit unprofessional from him, from what he's meant to be a top pundit. As I said yesterday, when I was talking about his response to Salah, he's very, very sensitive. He got called out. He's very sensitive. I also think there's an element of him being somewhat jealous of Mo Salah. How dare this Chelsea reject come into my football club and have a better legacy and a better career than I did? I feel like there is a bit of jealousy there from Jamie Carragher. And hey, if you don't believe me, this guy has been the main man to point the finger of blame at Salah whenever Liverpool have been performing poorly. All these things tie up, man. All these things tie up. I'm sure of it. Conspiracies, club wanting to get rid of Salah without kind of his say-so, his notion. Not keeping promises, maybe. And this is why I said in the summer when I talked about Alexander Isak, I wasn't going to go too hard in on Isak seemingly betraying Newcastle because I know for a fact that clubs do the same thing back to players. Clubs try and force players out. So all of these people that are like, well, Isak betrayed Newcastle. How dare he betray the club that gave him a platform to perform on? What are you saying now? What are you saying now about clubs betraying players as well, because it works both ways. And I tried to tell people that across the entire summer. I tried to say, don't just blame Isak because clubs will do this as well. What are you saying now? What are you people saying now? That's what I want to know. Guys, make sure we're liking and subscribing. All of that good stuff, and also hitting up the chat. Really appreciate each and every single one of you being here early on this Wednesday morning. We're going to go for a little bit longer talking about Liverpool's win last night, and of course looking ahead a little bit to Saturday's game against Brighton. Fingers crossed for a win there. Get back on track in the Premier League. Still not confident with Brighton, by the way. Still not entirely confident with Brighton. We know that they can be awkward. We know they can be difficult. And we know that they've got some really good players in their ranks. Good, tenacious players. Good physical players. So it's going to be a really tough test for our midfield to contend with. It's going to be interesting to see how we set up with our winger situation currently being how it is. So it's going to be interesting to see how we set up in the wing positions. Hopefully Chiesa's back for this game. We shall see. We shall see. Lee says we've got a week off after Brighton before Spurs. Yes, we do. It's one of the very rare weeks off that we get where we haven't got like game every 3 or 4 days. I think we've got a week off after Spurs as well for Wolves, of course. So week off, Christmas, of course, and then it still annoys me that we've got no Boxing Day fixtures other than Newcastle Man United. Still annoys me that we don't have our feast of Boxing Day football. But there you have it. There you have it. That's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. So are we confident going into Brighton? I'll say that I'm a bit more confident after last night's win, but I'm still not entirely there. Brighton have had... It's a bit of an up and down season as far as what Brighton are concerned. But Brighton are sometimes like that. They'll have like a few good wins and then they'll go to a team that they should be beating, like a West Ham on Sunday, for example. And then they'll drop points. Brighton are currently 8th in the table. 6 wins, 5 draws and 4 losses from 15 games. They've scored 25 goals. They've conceded 21 goals. And that gives them obviously a total of 23 points. Their last 5 games are draw, win, win, loss, draw. That loss was obviously that incredible 7-goal thriller against Aston Villa. Brighton found themselves 2 goals up in that game, only to be pegged back. And then Villa, of course, got the job done. This is going to be a very tough game. A very, very tough game. Brighton, like I say, a lot of good young players, good young manager, seemingly, came in as a bit of an unknown, but is really holding his own in this league, I think. Considering the youth, considering how Brighton operate and perform. This is going to be no easy task. And the bit that worries me the most is that midfield battle. Because if Brighton play with a sharpness, a directness that we, for one reason or another, can't handle, if they are tenacious enough, if they're intense enough, they will bully us. They will absolutely bully us. We need to be on it from the start. I'd go Alisson in goal. It's going to have to be Joe Gomez at right back for me. There's no other option other than Joe Gomez at right back. Conor Bradley, like I say, is suspended. I'm not putting Szoboszlai there because I find it stupid that our best player is being sacrificed in normal positions for him to accommodate elsewhere. So I would go Joe Gomez right back. Centre backs, Konate and Van Dijk, of course. I think he puts Kirkes back in for this game because Andy Robertson played last night. So I think he probably does go back with Andy Robertson at left back. Sorry, I just paused because normally when we win a game, normally he actually sticks with the same team again for the weekend. Now, of course, he's going to have to make a change in terms of, obviously, there's going to be no Conor Bradley. But then again, he didn't play last night. Well, he didn't start last night, should I say. So it's quite possible that he goes with the same team again that won last night, because he has done that before. When we beat Real Madrid, he went with the same team against Man City. When we beat West Ham, I believe he went with the same team against Sunderland. So it's quite possible we go with the same team again. But I feel like if there were to be changes, I feel like it would be Kirkes in for Robertson. And maybe Florian Wirtz in for Ekitike. That's the kind of changes that I'm anticipating could potentially happen. But for the most part, I do feel like it's probably going to be the same team again. Because that's just how Slot does it. No, I'm not confident at the moment, says Dean. We need to start with Ekitike because he won't miss. Isak is just lacking confidence. I agree with you. And again, it's like I said yesterday, there is no incentive in this team to play well because Ekitike will play well but get dropped the next game. Szoboszlai will play well but get told to play in any other position rather than his own for that particular game. Konate can play poorly. Gakpo can play poorly. All these other players can play poorly, and they still get to play the next game. There's no incentive, and Ekitike is in a similar position. I would genuinely start Ekitike rather than Isak. I think if there was to be a change and Florian Wirtz was to be that main guy, he comes in for one of the two strikers. But I don't know. Like I say, it's been known that Slot tends to favour going for the same team after a win. But the Champions League and Premier League have proven to be so different and difficult for Liverpool to navigate through game after game, 3 days and 4 days apart, that I'm not 100% convinced, in all honesty. I'm not convinced. I'm not 100% sure. And like you said, I'm not entirely confident either. Brighton have been a thorn in our sides past few years. I know we have got some good results against Brighton as well, but sometimes they are mixed in with a few defeats and a couple of draws as well. So it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, and especially with us being at home as well. And that sounds so dumb to say because we shouldn't be saying that as Liverpool fans. We should be more confident being at home. Anfield is our fortress, right? Anfield is our playground, but obviously that hasn't been the case this year. So much so that our away form is, well, we're higher in the table away on our away form But that's just because everybody else has been awkward as well. So we have the 12th best home record in the Premier League. We have played 7 times. We have scored 4. Sorry, no, we have won 4. We've drawn 1 and we've lost 2, giving us a total of 13 points at home. Our away form, we are 9th in the table. We have won 3, drawn 1, and lost 4. So it's so weird. It's just so weird the way it's done. Man City have the best home form. Crystal Palace have the best away form now. It was Tottenham for a while. And of course, they can reclaim it because Palace have played 1 extra game away from home than Spurs. But Brighton away from home are actually below us in 10th. So this is going to be a very awkward battle for us. Even off the bat and based off of form as well, it's going to be even more awkward for us. I didn't actually realise Crystal Palace don't actually have that good of a home record, which is mad to say that where they are in the table. They haven't really lost many. They've just drawn a fair few. Fair enough. Away from home, though, they're actually really, really good. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be an awkward game for us. It's going to be a very awkward game for us. Do I see us winning? Look, I'm a little bit more confident than what I was last night, but not by much. I still don't know what to make of this team. I'm still not convinced. Obviously, it's going to take a lot to rebuild those bridges and that kind of reinstill that confidence. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Like I say, we very well could win that game. It wouldn't be by much. It would probably be like a 2-1 or something. Maybe a 3-2. Maybe a 3-2. But if Brighton turn up and if Brighton are in the mood, they could easily destroy us as well. And let's be real as well. If we're going off recent form at home for Liverpool, I mean, we drew 1-1 with Sunderland in our last home game. We conceded 4 to PSV. We conceded 3 to Nottingham Forest. We obviously beat Real Madrid. We beat Aston Villa. We conceded 3 in the Carabao Cup to Palace. We conceded 2 to United. And obviously that's not obviously not good enough. All of that's not good enough when you consider that we're at home. Our home form is really weird right now. Our home form is really, really weird right now. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to be going for my Premier League predictions video this week. Because I can see all 3 scenarios coming out. I can see worlds in which Liverpool win. I can see worlds in which Liverpool lose. I can see worlds in which Liverpool draw. I'm really not confident. Really, really not confident whatsoever. But at the same time, in saying that, it isn't out of the realms of possibility that Liverpool win because Brighton are just as awkward and as weird as us. But Brighton have taken points off the likes of Chelsea. They've beaten Man City, of course. So against the big teams, Brighton tend to turn up. I'm just hoping like our form kind of disguises us as not a big team. But yeah, I know that Brighton turn up in these big games. Brighton certainly turn up in these big games. So we have to be on it from the start. Like I say, we have to be tenacious in midfield. We have to not give them a second to breathe. We have to be first to every first and second ball. and then we'll stand a chance of winning. Because I feel like if we create chances, one of Ekatike or Isak will take them. One of them will eventually. But do I have the confidence that the mindset and the mentality of this team won't shatter at the first sign of adversity? No. Will Brighton score? Probably. Is there a danger that Kanate or Van Dijk or anyone is going to make a horrendous error that sees a potential collapse again? Potentially. So there's a lot there that we need to digest and we need to look at, because this could be a very entertaining game of football for the neutrals and like a awkwardly scary one for the fans of the teams involved, or this could be just a very frustrating game in which there are half chances, there are some okay passages of play, but the end ball is just off from both teams. It could be just one of them games. It really, really could. I'm surprised it's a 3:00 game. That's the bit I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's a 3:00 game on Saturday, by the way. What are the other games that are on TV this week? Because I feel like Brighton-Liverpool is normally a game that normally does throw up quite the interesting battle. So, I forgot. We don't even have another 12:30 game. Are you taking the mick, really? There's no 12:30 game on Saturday. On the people that are running this scheduling is awful. Absolutely awful. They are terrible. They are absolutely terrible, 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 terrible. I understand that there's a lot more teams in Europe, so I understand that there's a lot more teams that are going to be playing on Sundays. But Jesus Christ. I mean, your 4:30 game on Sunday is Brentford versus Leeds. That's your 4:30 game on Sunday? You have Crystal Palace against Man City taking place at the same time as Sunderland versus Newcastle, and your 4:30 game is Brentford versus Leeds. With all due respect to both clubs, no one's watching that. With all due respect to both Brentford and to Leeds, no one is watching that. You've got Nottingham Forest taking on Tottenham at the same time as them games as well. West Ham, Aston Villa. But your 4:30 game on Sunday is Brentford versus Leeds. What? You've got two Saturday night games. One's Burnley versus Fulham, and the other one is Arsenal versus Wolves. Just because you didn't want a 12:30 game. Move the Brentford game to 12:30 on a Saturday. What is stopping you from moving the Brentford game to 12:30 on a Saturday? There is nothing stopping you. Neither club is in Europe. Neither club is doing anything midweek, to my knowledge. Why not move that game to 12:30 on a Saturday? Because then you can put the Palace game or the Sunderland game as your 4:30 game. The schedule, the people that are behind the scheduling, they seriously need sacking. This is a sackable offence if ever I've seen one. This is awful. You've got Chelsea-Everton at 3:00. That's normally a good game. Liverpool-Brighton at 3, of course. They're the only two 3:00 games for your Saturday afternoon viewing. Burnley-Fulham, like I say, is the 5:30 game on Saturday. We've got a second evening game in Arsenal versus Wolves. That should be an easy win for Arsenal. Sorry, Wolves fans, but I would love for you to get the win. I would love for you to take points off Arsenal, but I don't think it's going to happen, with all due respect. Then, like say, Sunday, Palace, Man City, Sunderland, Newcastle, Forest, Tottenham, and West Ham, Aston Villa, all at the same time at 2:00. I would watch 3 of the 4 of those games. West Ham, Aston Villa is a maybe, maybe not. But I would watch all 3 of those games, and they're all taking place at the same time. But don't worry, guys. 4:30, Brentford versus Leeds. And Man United again are on Monday night against Bournemouth. That is shocking. Absolutely shocking and abysmal. That is some absolutely abysmal scheduling. There is... This is the annoying thing. There's no need to put Brentford on Sunday. There's no need. You could put them on the Saturday afternoon. You could even go the whole hog and put them on Friday night. You could put them as the Friday night game. There is absolutely no need for Brentford and Leeds to be playing on a Sunday afternoon. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's annoying. That is so freaking annoying. Because I want to watch the Sunderland and Newcastle game, because obviously Tyneside derby. But I also want to watch Crystal Palace Man City, because that's normally a really good game. Instead, I have to either split screen them or just watch one or the other. And Forest Tottenham's also a decent game as well. The schedulers this season need to have a long, hard look at themselves. They are absolutely abysmal. Big up Reluctant Gamer who's here. Great to have you here, my bro. I hope you're doing well on this Wednesday morning. He says, great win away at Inter Milan. Absolutely. Couldn't be happier with the win. The performance, a little bit to be desired, but at the same time, we got the win, and that is the main thing. A little bit fortunate, yes, but I'll take it. In the current situation that we are in right now, I'm taking it. Big up to you. Good luck to you all, boys, tonight. Newcastle, of course, taking on, as everybody knows, by Leverkusen. So I completely forgot. I'm going to be honest with you. I completely forgot who Newcastle was playing tonight. No easy task, though, Leverkusen. No easy task by Leverkusen. Obviously, beat Man City in their last game in the Champions League. So, yeah, no easy task whatsoever, but I still feel like you'll get the job done. I feel like you will get the job done. 3 points for Newcastle tonight. 3 points for Newcastle tonight, I'm sure. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Is in the building. Happy that you're here, my bro. He says that I'm happy that we won. Yeah, me too, bro. Me too. Like I say, there's no agendas here. I'm really happy that we won. I'm not saying anything about like I want us to lose just to get our manager out the door quicker. Yeah, I'm really happy that we won as well. Like I say, it was. I think over the course of 90 minutes, we just about edged it as the better team. I feel like defensively we were solid. Attacking wise, I think we created the better of the opportunities. Not many, but we definitely created the better of the opportunities. Curtis Jones forced the goalkeeper into a very good save. Connor Bradley from a tight angle in the second half. I think even Ekatike from an acute angle forced a corner as well. So we definitely had a couple of opportunities here and there, but not really clear-cut or big chance opportunities that I would say we definitely should have scored from. In fact, if I look at the statistics, we shared the possession of 50-50 together. We had 1.42 expected goals, according to SofaScore. We had 2 big chances in comparison to their 1. We had 12 shots in total in comparison to their 9. So, yeah, I would say on the overall course of play, we just about edged it. We didn't really reduce. We didn't really give them a great deal to go off. Yeah, it's it was a good night. It was a whole lot better than what I was expecting going into it. I'm not going to lie to you. I did think we were going to get absolutely demolished by Inter. I thought they were coming into this game in really fine form. I thought that they were going to wipe the floor with us to an extent. Free flowing, good goal scoring, solid defensively enough, but we were very good on the night. We were very, very good on the night in terms of reducing them to very little. And of course, like I say, Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones were absolutely immense. Those 2 in particular were head and shoulders above the rest. They were absolutely brilliant on the night. And now we move on to the Premier League again, and Brighton and Hove Albion. Quick look ahead to tonight's games. Quick look ahead to tonight's games. The early kickoffs on a Wednesday are not great. The early kickoffs on Wednesday this season, especially, haven't been great. Again, the scheduling's all wrong. The only real games of note: Leverkusen, Newcastle, as we just discussed. I think Newcastle will get the job done there. I know it's away from home; it's going to be awkward, and I know Leverkusen are on seemingly a little bit of a revival. To a point, not massively, but a bit of a revival for Leverkusen, who I know they lost at the weekend, so that kind of defeats my point. But they were seemingly on a little bit from the beginning of the season. It's kind of gone a little bit downhill these past few weeks, with the exception of obviously beating Wolfsburg and Man City, of course. But they've lost to Dortmund in the Bundesliga. They actually beat Dortmund a few days later in the German Domestic Cup. But a loss to Augsburg this past weekend. And now they face a Newcastle side who are just about cranking through the gears, it seems. So I would probably back Newcastle to get the job done, especially after, obviously, the collapse against Marseille. That needs to be, as far as what Newcastle are concerned, a win tonight. It definitely needs to be. Elsewhere, Club Brugge are taking on Arsenal. Arsenal are pretty much confirmed as to being in the round of 16 anyway, especially after that massive win last time out against Bayern. They sit on 15 points. A win tonight would pretty much confirm them, I think, as being home and dry into the next stage. So they can probably take game weeks 7 and 8 pretty easily. And let's face it, they are against a favourable side in Club Brugge. So if Arsenal wanted to get the job done and dusted there and then tonight, they can do. Yeah, that would be pretty straightforward for them. And then, of course, in the last 2 game weeks, they can rotate. They can do whatever they wanted, really, and there's going to be no repercussions from it. But yes, decent game for Arsenal tonight. PSG taking on Bilbao. That should be interesting. But of course, the big one that is on everybody's mind tonight will be from the Bernabeu. And that is going to be Real Madrid taking on Manchester City. There's a lot of talk pre-game that if Xabi Alonso was to lose tonight, that could be the end of Alonso as the Real Madrid manager. Harsh as that may seem, that is obviously the Real Madrid way, the standards set at Real Madrid and all of that stuff. So tonight could be a very, very interesting night. Not just in terms of Real Madrid and Manchester City, but potentially Liverpool as well. Because we know that obviously Arne Slot is on a bit of thin ice with the results. But obviously, with a lot of reports swirling around Xabi Alonso, the talk is that obviously, if he was to become available, Liverpool might make a big move to try and get Xabi Alonso at Liverpool. So this could be very, very interesting times over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours or so. And the domino to fall might just be if City get the win over Real Madrid. I don't know what will happen. I don't know if even Real Madrid definitely will sack him or not. But that seems to be the consensus coming out of that particular game, that if Real Madrid were not to win tonight, Xabi Alonso could face the sack come either late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning. We shall see. Big up No Lookers in the building. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you here with us on this Wednesday morning. And you say that fail to score, you're going to get punished by the other team scoring. Inter can blame themselves. Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I think that we did very well in neutralizing them for the most part last night. We did very, very well in stopping them from creating too many attacks. They didn't really have that many clear-cut opportunities and chances. Alisson Becker, I believe, was only forced into making the one save from Lautaro Martinez. So, again, I don't think Inter punished us as much as they would have thought going into the game, as much as they would have liked going into the game, considering where they were and where we were in a much more fragile state than them. So, yeah, I agree. I agree to a large degree of what you're saying there, my friend. 120%. So big games tonight, big games last night as well. Elsewhere in the Champions League, Tottenham with a massive 3-0 win over Slavia Prague. Again, you have to question whether or not there's a corner being turned there for Spurs. Big win for Tottenham there. Barcelona, I believe, came from behind to beat Eintracht Frankfurt by 2-1. Big win for the Spanish side there. Atletico Madrid beat PSV. Marseille beat Union Saint-Gilloise. Monaco beat Galatasaray. Beating Galatasaray isn't for everyone. I had to be self-deprecating there. It's just the thing I do. But probably the biggest shock of the night, Atalanta beating Chelsea. I feel like Atalanta are only exist to beat English teams in European competitions. I swear that is what Atalanta are just there to do. They just seem to beat English teams. If Atalanta were to go for an entire campaign facing only English teams, I feel like they'd win any and every European competition. It just seems like they just live for beating English teams, and I don't understand why. But no, they came from behind last night to beat Chelsea. Another loss for Chelsea in a matter of weeks. How life comes at you fast. It wasn't so long ago that Chelsea was celebrating a 1-1 draw with Arsenal. I'm not trying to be disingenuous when I say that. I understand the kind of meaning and the sentiment behind that point. But at the same time, it wasn't so long ago that Chelsea fans were, at least taking the positives, shall we say, out of a 1-1 draw with Arsenal, only to a few days later get absolutely destroyed by Leeds United, draw to Bournemouth at the weekend, and now lose to Atalanta in the Champions League. Like 3 results in a row and no win. for Enzo Maresca's side. So life comes at you fast. Big reality drop big reality check for Chelsea, should I say. Yeah, it's it's interesting times. Interesting times for Enzo Maresca's side, 100%. Alonso was always Edwards' first choice, not Slot. Absolutely, that's something that we shouldn't forget. Alonso was wanted, but he decided to stay at Leverkusen one more year to not only work on his craft, but to also lie in wait for that Real Madrid job, and it's understandable as to why. But yeah, we definitely did try a lot to try and get him out of Leverkusen and to Liverpool during that period of time. So, like I say, interesting times, man. Interesting times. And this is the thing as well. It's genuinely... I've had this theory for a little bit where the managerial market being so dry is the only thing that's really kept Slot in the job. If, say, Alonso was available, or someone of Alonso's ilk, reputation, or someone with a greater reputation that kind of fit the Liverpool way was available, I do feel like Slot would have gone a long time ago. But I feel like because the managerial market doesn't really have a great abundance of reputation, talent, quality, that's the only reason why Liverpool haven't quite pulled the trigger yet. If Alonso was to become available tomorrow, that could set the wheels in motion of, well, if we don't get him now, someone else potentially will. And that's dangerous, considering that there are a few managers out there that could be on thin ice themselves. They could be in a bit of hot water themselves. And if people are looking at Alonso and going, didn't quite work out at Real Madrid, given the size of the club, the reputation, the standards, the level of expected goals to hit, that kind of thing. But if he was to come here, we could help him rebuild that side of his career. We again could lose him to another big enough club. So it is going to be very interesting to see what does happen over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours or so. If reports are to be believed that Xabi Alonso will be sacked, we'll wait and see on that. But that could obviously open the door to potentially the sacking of Arne Slot if certain people are to be believed. We shall most certainly see. But yeah, the bottom line here is that Liverpool beat Inter Milan last night by a 1-0. Massive win for Arne Slot's side in the Champions League. A much needed win, not only given their Champions League campaign so far, but also the current state of the club and, of course, what has been a very chaotic week for obvious reasons. We have the squad to suit his style of play, mate. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Alonso, I think, would suit us very well. And you know who else would love to see Xabi Alonso walk through the door? Well, the two people that I'm sure would love to see Xabi Alonso walk through the door at Liverpool: Jeremy Frimpong and Florian Wirtz. They especially would love to see their ex-manager walk through the door at Liverpool. I think we have. I don't think it's perfectly suited, as in I think there are maybe one or two players that we could potentially look at in terms of centre-back wise and maybe centre midfield wise that could improve and bolster the squad. But for the most part, I get what you're saying. It is definitely suited to Alonso. And I'd be happy. I'd be intrigued and I'd be happy to see Xabi Alonso return to Liverpool, take on the role as manager, and hopefully have a long and successful reign, if that was to be the case. We'll obviously see what happens. Obviously, a lot needs to happen between now and then for that to happen. And there's no telling whether or not the owners will actually follow through on that potential on that potential appointment or sacking or anything along those lines. So we'll obviously have to wait and see. But as I say, guys, bottom line here, Liverpool win a game of football. Liverpool win in the Champions League 1-0 against Inter. Dominic Szoboszlai with a penalty that was pretty soft, but at the end of the day, I can understand why it was given. I'll take the win. I'll take the 3 points. Big win towards our Champions League campaign, and not just our Champions League campaign, but also our towards what has been a chaotic week. A chaotic week, to say the least. That seems like a good point to end it. Thank you all so much for being here. Really do appreciate each and every single one of you for being here on this Wednesday morning. Do me a massive favor, smash the like button and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Am I on tomorrow? Maybe not live tomorrow. I'll either be live tomorrow or Friday. One of the 2 days. But there will be a video going up on the other day. So if I'm live tomorrow, there will be a video going up Friday. If there's a video up tomorrow, I'll be live Friday. I've just got to sort some things out and check on a few things. I might not be able to go live, but there probably will be a video. We shall see. Either way, there will be something on the channel. I always aim to upload something on the channel every day. If it's a live stream, it's a live stream. It's a video, it's a video. I try and do that every day, but we shall see. We shall see tomorrow what the case may be. But there will be something going on the channel tomorrow. I'm just not 100% sure if I'll be able to go live or not. But yeah, I'll try and get at least a good amount of time before I eventually make that decision. If I am going live, so it'll be a good amount. I won't just instantly go live. I'll at least leave it so that there is some time. Thank you all so much for being here. Like I say, smash the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated from you wonderful people. I cannot honestly thank you enough for the love and support on the channel. You guys are absolutely awesome. As always, thank you all so much. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.